بسم الله والحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending the salutations upon the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam, upon his family and his companions, and upon all those who follow upon his guidance into the establishment of the last day. To proceed, ikhwan, فاللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وربنا زدنا علما والحمد لله رب العالمين. Oh Allah, we ask that you teach us that which you have that you teach us that which will benefit us, and that you benefit us with that which you have taught us. And all the praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of, and that you increase all of us upon knowledge, and all the praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. طيب نبدأ مع أمهاتنا وبناتنا وأخواتنا من Sources Book Club إن شاء الله من مكتبة Sources إن شاء الله تعالى في دراستهن من كتاب بلوغ المرام. So we continue with our beloved mothers and our beloved daughters and our beloved sisters in Al-Islam from Sources Book Club with their reading and studying of the last hadith or one of the hadith from this series of hadith that you guys are studying. Naam.
Anybody could go first? Mujahid, Alima. Who else was memorizing? Rabia, Karima, Amsala. Nobody wants to go first?
I can try.
Okay, inshallah. Barakallahu fiki.
Afikum barakallah. وعن أمي عطية رضي الله تعالى عنها أنها قالت كنا لا يعد
نعد القدرة
قدرة والصفرة بعد طهر شيء رواه البخاري وأبو داود ولفظ
له ما شاء الله. أحسنتي بارك الله فيك. ومن بعدها خواص أخوات وأمهات وبنات who was memorized the hadith.
Karima or Rabia or Alima or Mujahid.
I'll go. And Ummi Utayya radiallahu ta'ala anha أنه قالت كنا لا نعود القدرة والسفرة بعد تودري. I know I said that wrong. شيئا وراه بخاري وأبو داود واللفظ له.
ما شاء الله. أحسنتي. ومن
بسم الله.
ما شاء الله.
وعن أمي عطية رضي الله تعالى عنها. نعم.
Good.
Okay. قالت كنا لنعود القدرات والسفرة بعد هارا no سوسو no لا بعد تطري شيئا رواه بخاري وأبو داود واللفظ له
واللفظ له
say that again
واللفظ لفظ
واللفظ له
ما شاء الله جميلا الله أكبر
الحمد لله
أحسنتي ومن
Inshallah, I'll go. وعن أم عطية رضي الله تعالى عنها أنها قالت كنا لا نعد القدرة والسفرة بعد تخري شيء وراه بخاري وأبو داود ولفظه
واللفظ
له
ما شاء الله جميلا أحسنتي أيضا أحسنتن نعم تفضلي
وعن أم عطية رضي الله تعالى عنها أنها قالت كنا لا نعد القدرة وسفرة بعد طهر شيئا رواه البخاري وأبو داود واللفظ له.
جميلا أحسنتي ومن
I think that was it from those that were memorizing the hadith that are here.
طيب ومن تقرأها بدون الحفظ who wants to recite it without memorizing it or just recite it who hasn't memorized it
I memorized it, but I'm missing like 2 pieces.
okay لا بأس give it a try you got it
Okay. وعن أمي عطية رضي الله تعالى عنها أنها قالت كنا لا بعد نعود قدرت سفرة
good
then بعد okay بعد طهري
good
شيء this where I mess up at
لا بأس
رواه لا
البخاري
البخاري وراه again
رواه البخاري
وأبو داود
ما شاء الله واللفظ
له
ما شاء الله أحسنتي بارك الله فيك أيضا أحسنتن جميعا كلكم حفظتم هذا الحديث الله أكبر all of you sisters and mothers and daughters have memorized this hadith الله أكبر طيب نبدأ إن شاء الله ببقية الأسئلة so we'll continue with the remaining of the question
آسف يا أستاذ لدي السؤال.
طيب
Okay, So we memorized the hadith, but in the book, it didn't include in Bulugh Al-Maram. It didn't include أنها قالت. It just said أنها قالت. But when I copied and pasted the hadith from the Ibn Baz website, it had the أنها قالت in it. So in terms of hadith, and we're saying we're narrating on Ummi Atiyah, can we say that it's like, is the chain from how, I'm not sure how to pose my question. Like, would that chain still be connected although we added the annaha qalat, or would it be considered like broken by adding that terminology and saying it's from Bulugh Al-Maram?
This whole book is mentioned with no chain. There's no chain in Bulugh Al-Maram.
Okay.
He mentions the ahadith Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala biduni asanidiha, without their chains, to make it easy on the memorizer. Ibn Hajar, if he says an Atiyah, or if he says it's not understood that he's narrating from Atiyah. His generations, Atiyah is a companion. So he doesn't mention it with the chain.
Okay.
So Bulugh Al-Maram, Riyadh Al-Salihin, Umdat Al-Ahkam, these books are mentioned without the chain to make it easy on the memorizer. So some of the books you may have an Ummi Atiyata radiyallahu anha annaha qalat, and then some publications have Ummi Atiyata radiyallahu anha qalat. The meaning is the same.
Okay. Jazakallahu khair.
وياكم. والله أعلم. طيب. Was the يا أخوات?
We finished 3, now we're up to 4.
All right, question number 4. What is the ruling on greeting a mixed crowd with assalamu alaikum ala man tabi'a al-huda when they're 85% or 90% who are non-Muslims? Is it okay to give them the salams as they are hadith, which the Messenger ﷺ passed by a mixed gathering and greeted them all with peace, yet other hadith state not to give them salam? طيب إذا العبد يمر على بعض المسلمين وبعض الكافرات ويسلم عليهم، فالمراد هنا أنه يسلم على المسلمين ليس على الكفار، لأن البدء السلام على الكفار لا يجوز والله أعلم. If a Muslim passes by a gathering and there are some Muslims in this gathering and some non-Muslims in the gathering, and he says generally Salamu alaikum, then here is understood that he's given the salams to the Muslims from amongst them, not the non-Muslims, although the non-Muslims are there. For example, although they're there, it's understood that he's given the salams to the Muslims from amongst them. If you say Assalamu ala man taba'a al-huda, fahada khas. So now if you say the phrase, and this is allowed to say, may the peace of Allah be upon the ones that follow the guidance, then now you're only given the salams upon the ones who are guided, meaning the Muslims. So you can say that ala man taba'a al-huda, upon the ones that follow the guidance. Al-muradu huna al-muslimun. The intent here are the Muslims. So you just said it in a nice, eloquent way. May the peace of Allah be upon those who follow the guidance. He's making it general, third person. That's allowed. So there are non-Muslims in the gathering, and he says that, then it's understood he's not giving salams to the non-Muslims, as that's not allowed to start the salams or to start al-Yahud wa Nasara bis salam, that you begin the Jews and the Christians with the salam. فبالنسبة إلى الرد على الكفار فالعلماء يختلفون في ذلك. With regards to greeting, returning the salams to the non-Muslims, the scholars differ. قال بعض العلماء يرد عليهم ب وعليكم، وقال الآخرون وهذا الصح والله أعلم يرد عليهم ب السلام عليكم. The first opinion, if a Christian or a Jew greets you with salams, a non-Muslim says to you, Muslim, one of our sisters, she says, Salamu alaikum. May the peace of Allah be upon you. The first opinion is that you return it back with wa alaikum and you. But the strongest opinion is that you greet them with that which they have greeted you with at least, even though they're Christians or Jew. That the verse where Allah Ta'ala says in the ayah that that you return the greeting equally to them. Greet them with that which is better, or at least what is equal. The meaning here, some scholars say this is general. Anyone who greets you, Muslim or otherwise, you return that greeting they gave you with better, or at least with that which they gave you. Some scholars say no, that's only if that's a Muslim. But the correct opinion is that verse is general. If a Christian says Assalamu alaikum, it's better that you say wa alaikumus salam. If a Christian says to you Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, it's better that you say to them wa alaikumus salamu wa rahmatullah. If a Christian says to you Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, it's better that you say to them wa alaikumus salamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The prohibition is that you start the greeting to a non-Muslim. But if a non-Muslim greets you, the strongest opinion is that you give them at least what they gave you. Now the hadith in which the Jewish man said to the Messenger of Allah, Samu alaikum. He said, may poison, may death, may poison be upon you, O Muhammad. هذا لماذا قال النبي وعليكم. This is why the Prophet said wa alaikum, not because he was a Jew, but because of what he said. So many people think since the Prophet said wa alaikum, he said that because he was a Jew. No, he said that because of what that man said. Wallahu alam, and Allah knows best. هذا مفهوم عندكم? You guys understand that?
No.
So the scholars differ over if a Christian or a Jew gives you salam. Do you say wa alaikum or wa alaikum salam? The strongest opinion is that you give them what they gave you, at least. It's better that you give them more, but at least. Someone says salamu alaikum. Now you have to say at least wa alaikum assalam. But it's better to say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. It's better. But if a Jew or Christian says it, some scholars say you say wa alaikum, but that's not the strongest opinion. The reason the Prophet said wa alaikum to the Jewish man was not because he was a Jew, but rather it was because of what he said. He said, Samu alaikum, may poison be upon you, O Muhammad. So the Prophet said, and you, like that. Allah. And then Aisha, she got kind of feisty and she began to say what she said, and the Prophet calmed her down. And then she said, didn't you hear the meaning? Didn't you hear what he said? And then the Prophet humbled her and said, didn't you hear what I said? Allahu Akbar. No. What's the ruling on a group of brothers or sisters that are not scholars or students of knowledge, sitting with each other, reading, sitting with each other, reading? I don't understand that question, Ikhwan. What's the ruling?
One that number 6 shouldn't be there. I think that's a part of one question.
What's the ruling on a group of brothers or sisters that are not scholars or students of knowledge, sitting with each other, reading the Quran in English or Arabic? Does there need to be a student of knowledge or the likes present? طيب إذا قلنا أن هذا الشرط نحتاج إلى الدليل. If you say that you can only read a book in front of a student of knowledge, or you can only read a book in front of a sheikh, that this is a condition, then where's your proof? يقول تعالى قل هاتم برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين. Allah Ta'ala says, say to them, bring your proof if you are truthful. فإذا قلنا أن هذا الشرط من الشروط نحتاج إلى الدليل. So if you say that that's a condition, you need a proof. قد يكون أولى, it'd be better إذا عندكن أو عندكم أسئلة نعم يطرحونه على هذا الطالب أو على هذا الشيخ فلا بأس وهذا أولى. But if they have questions or comments or concerns, it would be better, of course, if there was a sheikh that they can ask the questions to, or they can ask a student of knowledge some questions. If he can answer, she can answer, he does so. If not, then they refer them to the people of knowledge. The students of knowledge are not the people of knowledge. We'll say that again. The students of knowledge are not the people of knowledge. The people of knowledge are one group of people. يقول تعالى فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون في سورة النحل وفي سورة الأنبياء. Allah Ta'ala says this 2 times in the Quran. Surah Al-Nahl and Surah Al-Anbiya. Ask the people of knowledge when you don't know. Well, technically it means ask the people of the dhikr when you don't know. Meaning ask the people of knowledge. قال مجاهد هم العلماء. Mujahid said أهل العلم العلماء. The scholars are the people of the people of knowledge are the scholars. So you can ask a student of knowledge a question. That's okay. But a student of knowledge is not from the people of knowledge. هو من طلبة العلم. He is from those who are seeking the knowledge. She is seeking the knowledge. She is learning it, but she is not of it. The people of knowledge are one group of people, the scholars. Many brothers and sisters think because they are trying to learn, they are from the people of knowledge. No, that's incorrect. The people of knowledge are one people, one class of people, and they are the scholars. So if the sisters are together going over the Quran amongst themselves, لا يوجد شرط أن يكون لهن أو بينهن طالبة العلم أو شيخ من العلماء. لا, قد يكون أولى ولكن هذا ليس بالشرط. So if the sisters are together reading the Quran and say they have not made their intentions to be students of knowledge, but they're reading the Quran amongst themselves, memorizing it, reading it, rehearsing it, and there's not a student from them or a sheikh from them. If you say that's a must, then you need proof to say that. It could be better if they have any questions or concerns, no problem. If they don't have, if they have any questions and there's not a sheikh amongst them or a student of knowledge amongst them, then the most knowledgeable amongst them has more right to answer. That's not a condition, but that's from the manners of the gathering. The most knowledgeable one usually answers the questions, not a condition. And then sometimes the one that has knowledge of that issue would answer. You don't have to be a student of knowledge to answer a question. That's not a condition. A general Muslim may have knowledge of this issue. That's not a condition. Don't think that only the students of knowledge or only the ulama have knowledge of every issue. That's a misconception. Sometimes a sister can know the meaning here and she may not be a scholar. He may not be a student of knowledge, but she knows. The hujjah, the proof is about if you know or not. If you know, you give it. Whether if you're a sheikh or a student or not. If you know, the proof is not your status. The proof is if you know or not. It could be one child right here amongst them, and this child knows. Then that child gives what he knows. يقول النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام من حديث عبدالله بن عمرو بن العاص عند الإمام مسلم. The Messenger of Allah, he says in the hadith of Abdillah ibn Amr ibn al-As, collected by Imam Muslim, بلغوا عني ولو آية. Narrate what you know from me, even if it's one thing. فالشاهد ماذا يعلم عن النبي. The point here is what you know, what you have knowledge of from the Prophet. If it's talking about a hadith, he didn't mention from the scholars, he didn't mention from the students, so it's not a condition. Wallahu alam. Remember, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat too, if you say something is a condition, نحتاج إلى الدليل, you need proof. Some brothers say you cannot teach until a sheikh gives you permission. Where's the proof? They say, well, Imam Malik did not teach until 70 scholars gave him permission. Allahu Akbar. Where's the proof? Some brothers, they say, some sisters, they say, the night belongs to the woman and the day belongs to the man. Where's the proof? Some sisters, they say, my husband got married and he didn't tell me before he got married. Where's the proof that he has to? Yes, you have to tell your wife eventually. Of course, ya ikhwan. But do you have to stop and say, hold on, brother Imam, I have to tell my wife first. It may be better to tell her first. It may be better to tell her after. It may be better to tell her at the same time. Allahu Alam. It's up to the family. It's up to the iman of that woman. It's up to that brother's wisdom. But where is the proof? We make conditions that are not in the Quran and Sunnah, and we have to be mindful of that. Her brother tell his wife nowadays, you can't go to the masjid to seek knowledge. Where is the proof you have the right to do that? A brother would say, or a sister would say, my husband does not allow me to pray in the masjid. Where's the proof that you have the right to do that? There's a benefit I want you sisters to memorize. That Islam is built upon proofs. If you memorize this, all of you write this down, especially you sisters, you daughters. Islam yubna al-dalil. Islam is built upon evidence. Allahu Akbar. If you memorize that, it's like you're upon the top of a mountain. Islam is built upon proof. Islam is built upon proof. Al-Islamu yubna al-dalil. If you focus on proofs, when you speak, you're going to speak with proofs to the best of your ability. And when you take knowledge in, you're going to ask for proofs. That's the origin. The origin is not opinions. Most of the opinions came after the companions, after them. Not in their time, after them, for example. So if you say that's a condition, then where is the proof that I have to have a student of knowledge in my presence as I read a book? Another benefit we want to mention to our mothers and our daughters and our sisters, the origin of seeking knowledge is not from books. The origin of learning is not from the books. Then where do you learn from? Then where is the origin from? Who knows?
Is it from sitting in the circles of knowledge?
Say it again.
Is it from sitting in the circles of knowledge? Like sitting with the scholars?
From sitting in the circles, from the people. Sitting in the circles of knowledge, the gatherings of knowledge, taking it from the people. Now, many people misunderstand this. They think I can't read a book on my own. No, you can read books. That's why they make books, to read. But that's not the origin. The origin is that you learn from a person. That person teaches you the book. That's the origin. But you can benefit from the books. But that's not how you take your knowledge. Benefiting is one thing. Taking knowledge is something else. Benefiting is one thing. Taking knowledge is something else. Taking knowledge, the origin is from the people of knowledge. That's the origin. Because the books, لا يصححك إذا أخطأت. Because the books can't correct you if you make a mistake. How many times the sister, she reads the Quran and she thinks she's understanding it correctly. And she says, I got it. It's right here. Here's my proof. And then you say, what's the intent there? And she says, it's saying this and this and this. And she's totally wrong. But she thinks she's right. If she has someone to teach her, they can tell her and show her. But if the book is there, the book is not going to stop you and say, hey, do you understand that? Give me an example of that. So you have to be careful only taking from books. If you have people to ask questions to, firstly from the scholars, if you can't get to the scholars, then the students of knowledge, then this is a blessing from Allah. If you have someone from the people of knowledge, firstly, and if you can't get to the people of knowledge, and you get to the students of knowledge, secondly, to pose your questions to, or things that you don't understand. هذا نعمة من الله. That's a blessing from Allah. Wallahu alam, and Allah knows best. You guys understand that?
No.
So where's the origin of taking knowledge? From the people of knowledge or from the book?
The people of knowledge.
People of knowledge.
What's the proof to this?
Can we, well, the proof is the book and the sunnah, but from the sunnah, in terms of when the Quran was revealed and the companions, they learned it from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then Zayd ibn Thabit, they all went out to teach others. So it wasn't from the books then. I don't know if that can be used as a proof.
And where did the Prophet learn from?
From Jibreel alayhi salam. And I was going to add, and all of the prophets and the messengers learned from, they didn't get it directly from Allah, right? Well, except Musa alayhi salam. But, Jibreel came down and taught them.
Exactly.
So that could be used as a dalil.
So, hey, that's the origin, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat. The tabi'un took from the companions. They benefited from books too, but they took their knowledge primarily from the people of knowledge, the companions at that time. The companions took their knowledge from the Messenger of Allah. As the sister says, which is correct, all of the prophets and messengers, they came, or Jibreel alayhi salatu salam descended upon them with the revelation, except for Musa. So the origin is that the Prophet took from Jibreel, the companions took from the Prophet, the Tabi'un took from the companions, that's about Tabi'in took from the Tabi'un, the great Imams took from that's about Tabi'in. That's the origin. So it doesn't mean I can't study a book. No, I read a book, Allahu Akbar. But if I have questions about the book, now, if you can go to a scholar, that's the origin. I can't go to a scholar, or I can't speak to that scholar, may Allah forbid. So I go to a student of knowledge to make sure what I'm reading, I'm understanding it correctly. This is the origin. Wallahu a'lam. May Allah knows best. So, anyone else have anything to mention?
No, I do. I wanted to ask, like, just regarding what you just said, like, how would you know though if you understood it correctly or not? Because sometimes we may read something and think that we understood it the way
So
it
that's
is.
a good question. The sister says, well, how would you know? How do I know if my understanding is correct? Now you have to test yourself. That's why, once again, the origin is not from the books, because the books, there's no test. The book, there's no sheikh, there's no teacher there. It's a book. He's not going to test your understanding. If you have no one to go to, none of the scholars, none of the students, from the best is that you summarize the chapters. Whatever book you're reading, you write down the book title. Whatever chapter you're reading, write down the chapter. The evidence that's supporting whatever you're learning in that chapter, write down those ayat, those hadith. And then you try to make an outline to yourself. And then you question yourself, what does this mean? And then you try to answer it first. And then if you can give a proof that you learned from that book, what's the proof to that? For example, but it's going to be hard by yourself. The best way, if you are by yourself, is that you take a partner. All of you sisters should be companions by now. Y'all should have each other's contacts and emails by now. Hopefully y'all get together and rehearse Quran and a hadith and go over benefits of seeking knowledge and the books that you guys are studying, and you question each other. You recite the hadith, I recite the hadith. What does it mean? And then you give your understanding. Where did you get that from? Oh, I don't understand this. Okay, write it down. Let's ask whoever we go to for our questions, from the people of knowledge first and the students of knowledge, if we can't do that, to make sure our understanding is right. When you guys truly understand, Sometimes your questions are going to be like this. This what I understood about the issue. The reason I understood it like that is because Allah said this and this and this. And the Prophet of Allah said that and that. Is that right? This is a true student of knowledge. Not always asking this and asking that. No, they do the research first. And then they try to understand what they found. And they make sure they got it. And then they pray 2 rak'ah. And then they pose it to someone from the ulama or the students of knowledge. And they say, hey, the issue of such and such and such and such. What I understand is A and B. Because Allah Ta'ala said this and this. And the Prophet of Allah said this and this. Am I right? When the students did that to Sheikh Albani, he used to praise them. From the ones who did that to him, Allah is a scholar that's still alive today, that we don't even take from no more, who was holding, still alive. The Sheikh Hussein Al-Awayisha, Hafidahullah Ta'ala, they're in Jordan. One of Sheikh Albani's elite students there, after Sheikh Ali and Sheikh Salim and Sheikh Mashhur Hassan, the Sheikh Hussein Al-Awayisha, he used to do that a lot with Sheikh Albani. Instead of asking, Ya Sheikh, what's the ruling of this? What's the ruling of that? He would say, Ya Sheikh, this is what I found about the issue. This is what I understand. And this is my proof. What do you say about that? And the Sheikh will be so impressed with that. And sometimes the Sheikh will say, hey, let me ask you a question. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So this is someone that's truly being a student of knowledge. She has an issue, she looks it up, and she learns, okay, this is what I learned about the issue. This is my evidence from the Quran and Sunnah. These are the scholars that have that opinion. This is what I say here. Am I right? And then that person is going to correct. Or if she's right, that's right. But to have someone that you can refer back to, whatever book you guys are studying, have a notebook for that book. Write down the chapter title. Write down at least one of the evidences for that point. Try to memorize it. And then go back and test yourself. Allah is above the heavens. Okay, what's the proof to that? See if you could bring a proof. What did the Prophet of Allah say here? See if you can learn a hadith about that. That's why I encouraged you last time to start memorizing the hadith, not just reading them, because the benefit is greater. Allah Alam, and Allah knows best. Next question. You guys have anything to add to that? Is it allowed for a woman to work outside of the house without the husband's permission? It's allowed for a woman to work if the job is religious. Does she need the husband's permission to work outside the house or not? It depends. It's not as black and white as many of us think. The man has rights over the woman. The woman has rights over the man. The man only gets all of his rights if he's fulfilling all of her rights. We'll say that again. The man has rights over the woman. The woman has rights over the man. The man only gets all of his rights if the woman, if that man is fulfilling all of her rights. Likewise, the woman, if that woman is being disobedient to the man, then it's not upon that man to provide for that woman, to spend on that woman, to shelter that woman, to feed that woman, to give drink to that woman, to clothe that woman until she returns back to the state of obedience. If the man does not fully provide for his wife, may Allah help us all. Many of our wives, they help us. Allahu Akbar. Sometimes without the wives, we couldn't even be married to them. Some of the wives, may Allah reward them, they help us as men be married to them. Some of us have 1 wife, 2 wives, 3 wives, and 4 wives. And financially, we couldn't do it after the mercy of Allah without that woman helping. And that's a blessing too, ya ikhwan. Some of the women, they make it easier on the men in our country. Some of the women, they say, I'll marry you, brother, for a book, for my dowry. Allahu Akbar. Who's going to do that? Allahu Akbar, except the woman on the sunnah. And most of them are from our country, where they make it easy on the man. I know you can't afford me, brother, but give me $100. That's it? Yes. One of the sisters asked for $100 and then gave it back to the brother. Allahu Akbar. She said, this is my dowry from you. I accept it. And then she said, now this is sadaqah from me to you. Allahu Akbar. My point is, the man has one wife and then he gets another wife. It's allowed for those women to help, but it's not obligatory upon them. Say the man is not fully feeding his wife, or fully clothing his wife, or fully giving his wife to drink, or fully providing a roof for his wife. Then he doesn't get all of his rights. He's not giving all of his rights, so he doesn't receive all of his rights. So that man can't say to his wife, I want you home by Maghrib. Why? Because he's not fully providing for her. That man can't say to his wife, you can't get a job. Why? Because he's not fully providing for her. Fully. But if he is, and he asks his wife not to work, and he's providing for her, giving her a roof and food and drink and shelter, now he has the right to say, I don't want you to work, for example. So it depends. Some of the brothers think because I'm a husband, I have the right to tell you to do this and this and this. And the answer is no. And the verse they use in Surah An-Nisa, where Allah Ta'ala says, Ar-Rijalu Qawwamun ala Nisa. So in the ayah, the men, that brother who's beneath her in status or in dunya, or if that man fears that he will not be able to provide for her in the manner that she's used to, and that'll become an issue, then maybe he should not marry that type of woman. Sufyan al-Thawri, when he wanted to get married, they brought him a woman that had a lot of wealth. He said, no, bring me someone like me. He was very poor, rahimahullah. So he didn't want to be a burden on someone, or he didn't want them to be a burden on him. But it's a misconception that some of the sisters have, that a man has to maintain me to what I'm used to. Allah didn't say that, and the Messenger of Allah didn't say that either. And Allah Ta'ala wa alam, this is my statement here. Anything I said that's correct is from Allah. Anything I said is incorrect is from myself. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا.